Welcome to She's Got Guts, where functional nutrition meets ancient wisdom to bring you grounded insights and practical tools for your wellness journey. Join Lara, licensed Eastern medicine practitioner and wellness wizard, and Molly, registered dietitian and gut health expert, as they unpack trends, tackle bloating, balance hormones, and help you thrive in modern womanhood without completely frickin' losing your mind. Let's do this. Welcome back.
Thank you. It's nice to be back. Welcome. Welcome.
Very exciting. Yes. So today we're going to talk about self-care versus self-love. We have better audio. We are so excited to be back, and we can't wait to share this topic with you. So when we think about self-care versus self-love, what do you think the difference is?
I know I've been going over this a lot lately with friends and family and stuff, having gone through a recent heartbreak, which has made this last month so interesting. And being in the wellness industry, you know, I feel like I've got self-care down to a science routine. It's like really not that big of a deal to stop and like I can microneedle. So I'll microneedle my face or put a mask on or rub my body with Bomb Bomb before bed after I take a warm shower and try to read before bed instead of being on my phone. All of those things are so helpful, but you can't self-care your way into self-love. I think it provides a great space for it. Your nervous system gets nice and chill and, you know, you have space to be able to feel calm. But I think it's really about acceptance. What do you think?
Yeah. My dog passed away. And so that's why we've been gone. We've been kind of sorting through these things.
We've been
grieving, deciding what direction we want to go in. But happy 1 year anniversary to She's Got Guts. Because here we are.
Here we are.
Yeah, we're not going anywhere. So for me, I think that I can actually like be pretty, I don't know, down in the dumps or lazy or just halt everything that I want to accomplish and that I'm here on this earth to do in the name of self-care. And I think that can be detrimental, at least for me, because it's like for today, I'm just going to take it easy and blah, blah, blah. And then I keep coming back to the topic or the principle, an object in motion stays in motion, and an object at rest stays at rest. So there's got to be some kind of defining practice, I think. So, okay, I'm going to give myself X amount of days, and then I am going to get up and go for a walk, or then I'm going to check one thing off my to-do list, or whatever it is. The voluntary stuff you do. Obviously, we're hoping you're still doing the work and the dinner and all of that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
But like when it comes to all the free time that we have, which is a tremendous amount of time, because there's 127 hours in a week, and we only technically work for 40 of those.
Yeah.
What else? Where's the
space? What is there to do? Well, I think for a lot of people, it's children and work and commuting and laundry and household chores and all of that sort of stuff. And it's interesting because in those times, I think we can check into where our presence is at. I think that's one thing that I've noticed with that object in motion stays in motion or an object in rest stays at rest is if you've mentally prepared yourself for a time where you're going to rest and you can be present in that rest, it can be really effective. But I also think that our bodies aren't meant to necessarily be not in motion, like you mentioned. And in order to expend energy, to be able to expend energy, you kind of have to expend more energy. Right? Like I've been waking up with, it's better now. Like I've had the last 2 days have been like the best days that I've had thus far. But in terms of waking up and having, you know, that like heart sinking sensation really quick, you know, like my life isn't what it was before. And you go into that cortisol land and then it's like kind of a cascade of emotions. But if I can bring myself to a state of presence where I'm like, not scared of that emotion, because that sensation of dropping is the cortisol, which is 100% associated with fear. We're scared of something. My life isn't what it used to be. That scares me. I don't know what's next. And it's hard on the heart too, right? When you lose something, as you know. And when it drops, it I went through this. So as you know, I have been on a microdose ketamine for a couple of years now. And when this happened, I completely stopped. It wasn't working. It was too sedative. I was feeling down and it wasn't what I needed. What I needed was kind of more uplifting and more feeling balanced. And so I hadn't done it for a long time. So I had a Saturday night off and kids weren't here and I was feeling a little lonely. And I was like, I think that I'm going to do a ketamine journey. So I used my little 64 troches in my mouth. It was actually really gross because I had to put a lot of them in there to get the like journey dose that I needed. My mouth was full of vanilla flavor. But I had this meditation come on and it was we'll put it in the show notes because it is one of the most beautiful meditations that I have come across in quite some time. And it's called I Love You and I Am Listening. And it is kind of a tribute or a worship to your heart. I fall beneath my heart and say, I love you. I am listening. And you embody this presence. And so when I've been waking up in the morning, I feel like I've become a team with my heart on how I become present. And so what that looks like is I'm waking up and I'm, if I have something happening or if my mind starts spinning, then, which I think is just out of habit because I'm not choosing it at this point. I think my cortisol is just learning how to unhabit itself, which I can tell you guys my tricks I've been doing with that other than just my mind and my hand on my heart. But I just say, I love you and I'm listening and my heart feels very full. And it brings a really intense piece of calm about me because it's easy to be scared of those when they come up and fight them. And they're so similar to maybe things that we've experienced in childhood or things that we've experienced in relationships or traumatic events or something like those. That feeling that's visceral that comes up inside of you is so similar. It's hard to decipher what it is that's actually happening, even though it's cognitive behavioral therapists a lot of the times will say your thoughts control your emotions. And I think it actually goes both ways. I think when you feel something, it can also make your brain go a million miles an hour, whereas your brain's going a million miles an hour, it can make you think something, or feel something. And so having the ability to be able to just stop and be present and not be scared of it and say, I love you, I'm listening, and let it pass through is extremely empowering for the strength that I feel like people need in that moment of fear. And I needed in that moment of what the most raw emotion is, fear. And it just felt very, very grounding, which was great.
Mm-hmm. I love that. I think also when we think about self-love, we want to make sure that we love ourselves enough that we are taking care of ourselves. Mm-hmm. But then a lot of times, I think where I was going was I was hiding from the self-love in maybe the self-care.
Yeah, and that's so easy to do. It's almost like you're going through the daily motions, like laundry, right, mask on my face, this, and how does it become? Where in your energetic presence does it become love as opposed to care?
Well, so for me, I have to define what it means, how I love myself, and what I'm doing if I love myself, what my values are, what my morals are, because if I love myself, then I want to honor myself and the things that I stand for and also the things that are important to me. Paying attention to my husband when he talks versus just kind of like, yeah.
Yeah, I'm listening. I love you. I'm listening.
I'm not paying attention because I'm in my own world trying to pretend like I'm not having to deal with these feelings or I'm not having to, feel uncomfortable in some other kind of way.
Yeah.
So to me, loving myself means that I honor being uncomfortable, but that I don't let myself get away from it. And I also think that it does mean taking care of myself. And, and that doesn't mean masks and laundry. Mm-hmm.
Even though it does, because that keeps our body in motion. And those are little things. Right. Like we talk about that all the time.
Right.
Those are the little things that build up to that. But if you're not going to do anything with that accumulation of energy that you've brought to yourself, how do you say, I am worthy of this energy and love that I have put into me? Or is it that you show up in your relationships differently and you set better boundaries? Or do you, how does it look actually in action? And I think it's really different for everybody. But there is that moment of
Yeah.
question, like, how do I make this tangible?
Well, and if you really think about it, like how many times do you really think about, oh, I love myself, or no, I don't? It's not even how would I act
Right.
if I were actively loving
Right.
myself versus I'm going to do a face mask and like watch,
Mm-hmm.
you know, whatever. The Shopaholic on Netflix,
Sure.
which is definitely part of it.
Mm-hmm.
But for me, I decided that a big part of self love for me was taking care of my body and not in like an overly dramatic way,
Yeah.
but like shaving my legs and going to the gym
Yeah.
and making sure that I get my steps 6 out of 7 days of the week at least.
Yeah.
Because working from home at a computer, there are no steps.
That's
you know,
hard.
like
Yeah.
literally none.
Mm-hmm.
And it was really starting to like take a toll. When you're out in the world, it's one thing.
Yeah.
But when you're at home and you just walk up the stairs to go to work, then it's a completely different thing. And so to really, you have to put in the effort
Yeah.
in order to keep yourself tuned up and
Yep.
working is what I have found. So it's so easy to say, oh, today I'm just so down and out, or today I am just not in the mood or whatever. And it's like, okay, well, when I look at the big picture of the relationship with myself, I have treated myself when in 10 years, all of that starts to show up, like the muscle mass and the bone mass and those things starting to degrade and not being able to walk around as well. I mean, you see a different kind of 60-year-old woman all day long.
Yeah.
And they're drastically different versions of her.
100%.
So if I love myself, which version do I want to be? And it's not about the size. It's not about how strong like I look.
Yeah.
It's really about like, can I reach up and get a glass out of the cabinet? Can I stand on the counter and wash the window? Can I
Get in and out of the
walk
car
around the
easily.
house
Yeah.
without kind of shuffling?
Yeah.
You know? Yeah.
Exactly.
Can I walk around with my niece, or like if we're on vacation, right? Can you still go and walk around wherever the landmark is or the city or the town? And so all of those things at our age go away so quickly
Yeah.
if you don't love yourself enough to keep up with them.
Yeah.
And I think that that's a really big part of depression too, right? Is like being unable to love yourself enough to do those things. And I
Right.
think that that should be a big indicator, right? That
Yeah.
maybe we do need to seek just even conversation with someone, a therapist, a psychiatrist, if we find that we literally cannot just like get off the phone and get out in the world.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, we're wired for connection. Being out in the world is a big, big thing. Both of us are kind of new to working at home within the last year or so. And so being providers and being in front of people all the time and caring for people. I mean, I still am in the bunkie, but it's a very different world. I mean, the bunkie is like a legit womb of transformation. It just feeds my soul. It's not like being in the clinic at all. It's totally different.
Right, right.
I wanted to share a few things that I've been doing that were a little more tangible, that were for that kind of like mourning part of things. And the reason why I wanted to mention this is because, you know, I've had heartbreak a couple times in my life, and I've never been heartbroken during perimenopause. And I have to tell you that it is a fucking shit show. It is terrible. I do not recommend. And I'm actually going to put up a post about this, because one of the things I recognized is that I was not having any hot flashes at all prior to the heartbreak. I mean, I was when we were building the bunkie, and it was July, and I'm physically moving my body around a lot, and it was hot. You know, like I'd wake up in the morning and I was like, oh my gosh, wow, I'm having hot flashes, which I didn't have before, but that was normal. I think for doing it in the heat and then also having like it kind of just brought them on. But emotionally, I was fabulous. Like building the bunkie was the funnest thing I'd ever done with him. It was amazing. We like, honestly, like couples goals for building something together. You know how you see couples and they're just like fighting the whole time or whatever? Like we crushed it. It was actually really, really inspiring. I was like, I can't wait to build more things, you know? But then when the breakup happened, the physical part of things weren't happening. It was purely emotional. And in between those two places, I wasn't having hot flashes anymore. Like I was sleeping regular and taking care of myself like I normally do, and wasn't having them. And then the emotional piece hit, and then it was just a shitstorm of hot flashes came back. And with them came a lot of anxiety. because I'd wake up in the morning and I'd get the dread drop. And then because the cortisol was there, it was completely shunting my hormones' ability to be able to have their symphony play out. So my estrogen was just kind of sitting there with its thumb in its butt, being like, what am I supposed to be doing? And cortisol's like, I'm crushing it. I'm taking over. I'm doing everything. And so here's all these hot flashes. And along with it, that vasovagal of the heart really brought on a lot of anxiety, and my heart was aching. So it was, a lot worse. So I'd done something that I'd really never done before. I was already using my Chinese herbal formula. I was already taking the cortisol manager. I was like taking everything that I have around and know of. And I reached out to my naturopath and I was like, I don't even care. You can give me an SSRI, you can give me estrogen. It doesn't matter. Like, I can't eat when I'm feeling like this. And I refuse to go one more day feeling like this. And so now I have a patch of estrogen on my butt and I'm navigating the SSRI. I'm not sure about that actually. I'm going to give it a little more time, but I'm not really sure how that's working out for me. But I kind of went what I would call for me a little bit extreme, but I'm glad I did because the hot flashes within 24 hours were so much more controllable, which is amazing. And I also think that's because you and I talk about this a lot on here about how having all of your systems kind of ready to receive messages or ready to receive the physiology that maybe is going to play out in your body over time as your bones, whatever, hormones decline, bones get less strong, you want to keep your brain active, all that. And we want to be preemptive and take good care of ourselves prior. And if we lay down a foundation of all of our organs that control those things to be optimal, then you can receive things that to me seem kind of extreme, like bringing in estrogen, especially when they used to give me migraines. Remember? I mean, that's why Supercube came around. But because I was obviously low, because those hot flashes were there, I'm in the bubble of them being low and then cortisol on top of it. It was not a recipe for success. So those two things were kind of extreme for me, but I'm glad that I tried them, or I'm glad that I'm doing them. I'll stay on the estrogen for sure. It's really helping in terms of the hot flashes and just feeling anxious. And then
That's great.
I've also been waking up in the morning, which is absolutely disgusting, but I wake up and I take a drink of really concentrated salt water, which is not like, if you Google it or whatever, they'll be like, this isn't really a scientific thing because adrenal fatigue isn't really a thing, blah, blah, blah. But your adrenals do need a lot. Well, they need a lot of vitamin C. They're the place in your body where your vitamin C has the biggest concentration, but also salt. They love salt. And so I've just been taking a shot of Himalayan pink salt in the morning and then having some water and going really slow. I noticed I was feeling a little lightheaded, so that was helpful. And then making sure I'm slowly eating a little bit of food, like even if it's just a handful of nuts, to kind of get my blood sugar going in the right direction. So both of those messages are really sweet and loving for the nervous system, right? If you can do them in a way that isn't kind of frantic. Like sometimes I'll wake up and I'll take a shot of it and take down the things. And then I'm like, why am I going so fast right now? Like I'm just used to going so fast. That settling down and being present in those moments, I think is where I introduce more of the love part of things. Like I don't love this salt water first thing in the morning. I'd so much rather have someone just bring me a Supercube and lay in bed and sip on that. But I don't have that right now. So I'm going to take down this salt water and I'm looking at it and I'm like looking at this salt water and I'm like, I am worthy of feeling safe and I am worthy of feeling loved and I am worthy of this making me feel less lightheaded and I will drink it. Talking into your water is always lovely, blessing your water. And so I do that and then a little bit of food. And then I've been walking every day, which is, I've always walked every day, but now I'm just walking because getting food in is a little more tricky. And so I'm not like actually exercising. I have zero desire to like lose more weight. I'm at a perfect weight right now. So I'm just going to stay there. And then I've been writing myself, especially when my boys aren't here. When my boys are here, I don't do it as much because we just really interact and I'm very present when they're around. It's harder for me to be present when I'm on my own. And so I've been writing myself a love letter every morning. Just a note. I shouldn't say a letter, but more like a note. And they're really actually motivating and they make me feel a lot better. It's things that maybe in the past I would have relied on a partner or someone to bring me that sense of fulfillment that maybe was behavior coming from a limited belief. I'm
Mm-hmm.
not worthy of consistent love. That's always one that I've been trying to work with just in terms of how my childhood went. And so having these little notes each morning has been really lovely because I'm like, oh, I can provide that fulfillment for myself. And what's great is it provides that feedback loop from those limiting beliefs that are showing up in behaviors that I don't love. And I know that they're
Mm-hmm.
there. And also tending to the nervous system at the same time is really kind of like a nice zipper effect in that when the nervous system feels more calm and when I feel more loved, those two together bring me that sense of presence within myself that is sometimes hard to find until you do have an event that makes you kind of stop and look at it, right? Like
Right.
this is my time for growth to move out of this limiting belief pattern.
Mm.
Because I think in the past I've known that they were there, right? Like I don't know if anybody else experiences this, but that cognitive part of, well, when I went through this when I was a kid, some people might just completely deny it and be like, well, I'm fine, you know, and some people might be like,
Right.
this is what defines me. And every decision I make, no matter who it is and what it is moving forward, is in that bubble, right? And then there's people who I think are, you know, kind of a middle of the road where they're aware of them and they try to recognize where they come up and try to alter their behavior. And I think that's really important because that is where a lot of, I think, we respond to ourselves, whether it's emotional or whether it's mental, in that when we respond with love and kindness, it's so much different for your body as opposed to like this morning when I woke up and I started going down a conversation that I would have loved to have gone differently. And I literally caught myself saying, Lara, that's so stupid. Stop that. And I was like, oh, wow, I was just really mean to myself in my brain. And then I stopped and I
Yeah.
said, and it wasn't even that mean. It was just direct. But I was like,
Right.
if I'm that direct to myself and it doesn't make me feel good, I'm going to resonate that to a partner or a child or my family member or a friend or whatever. And I don't want that coming back to me. So I need to be more gentle with myself. And so I just put my
Right.
hand on my heart and I just said, I love you. I'm listening. I heard that. You're not stupid. That's not stupid. It's okay. You're in the middle of
Oh.
heartbreak. Let that go. You don't have to have that conversation in your head again. It's all right. I love you. I'm listening. Let's just move forward. And it was
Yeah.
such a great, it just really brings in, I think that, I guess what I'm trying to say is that it can be so difficult where the tangible piece of the love and the care come together. Like, where are you actually diving in to the love as opposed to just staying kind of superficial on the care? It's like when you're one of those people who likes the conversations where someone says, how are you? And they're like, oh, I'm fine. And you're fine with that. Cool. That's a superficial kind of conversation. If that's what you like, that's what you like. Do not ever do that to me. If I ask you how you are, I want the whole story. I want the dish. Let's pour some tea. I want to know what it is. I want to be in the depths with you. And I move through the world so that I can be, because that brings me a ton of fulfillment when I can be in those
Mm-hmm.
places with people. I don't know if it's
Right.
because I'm a Scorpio or what I've been through or whatever, but it's just one of the things I have accepted about myself is that I
Mm-hmm.
like to be in that place. So I will care for myself so I can be. But yeah, self talk, self love, self care, selfish. We're all of it.
Well, I think those are wonderful strategies. And I also think that, taking time to really look at what's going on and how you can change it, what is within your power, what is something that you want to do. Anybody check your DHEA?
Did anybody check my DHEA? So because I was in a very acute place, I was like, I just need this. We didn't do any tests. I sent her my Dutch test from
Yep.
this time last year, in which my DHEA was fine. And actually, my testosterone was a little low and my estrogen was a little high. So
Mm-hmm.
I think things have changed since then. But my
Mm-hmm.
DHE was okay at the time. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Tell me your thought process there, dear.
Well, so when I hear adrenals, I always think about just double checking
Mm-hmm.
where that lands,
Yeah.
because DHEA is one of the important things that we use
So between
in
500
terms
and
of
3,000, mine was 1410. So it's like just below the middle.
great. Yeah. So a lot of people, when they're really depleted,
Mm-hmm.
will come to me and it will be under 150.
Oh, wow.
And so that's when we support them. Yeah.
Yeah.
So not something that I would recommend that people
Just run off
supplement
into.
with,
Yeah.
but certainly if we have something that we can look at to see, because chronic stress can reduce the level of DHEA. We use it almost as a biomarker of stress,
Yes.
to an extent. So that is just a blood test that you can get that your insurance probably won't cover.
Right.
And it is a hormone. So anyway, so that's what I was thinking, because it can also counteract cortisol, right?
Right.
And we don't want high cortisol and low DHEA, because that's going to continue to proliferate any kind of adrenal imbalance.
Yes.
But
Absolutely.
I know obviously that you're doing all the things.
Oh, no,
and
I
then
love that though. Thank you for the suggestion. That was
I
good.
just it like
You popped into your head. Well, I
But
was
last-
taking some adrenal cortex for a while, and I've actually stopped that because anything too stimulating is just too stimulating. Like right now, I'm just letting the estrogen and the SSRI kind of show me what their magic is. Well, oh, and of course, like vitamin C and my D and my Chinese herbal formula, because that actually, with the estrogen and the herbal formula, that combination has been really helpful for the hot flashes, which has been really helpful. But I tell you, the first period that I had on estrogen was really interesting. My first 2 days, I could like barely get out of bed in the morning, and that has never been me. I don't know if anyone else is trying estrogen for the first time and experienced this, but I'm not sure if my liver was just a little overwhelmed or what was happening. It definitely helped to do like walking and green juices and sweating and things. But it was, yeah, perimenopause, I tell you. I'm like, well, it's funny because until all these hot flashes started, I knew that it was coming. I knew that I was in it. It just, now it feels like I'm more in it, if that makes any sense. Like the mental emotional piece is definitely different. And I just want to just tag that it is all cortisol. Like it really is all cortisol. Like you feel like you're in it when your cortisol is out of control. You feel like you're above it and looking at it almost, and that it's tangible to make changes when you're not necessarily in that cortisol as much.
Yeah,
so it's really important
totally.
to take care of yourself.
Absolutely. And loving yourself enough to say, hey, I'm going to try these things. This isn't the way that I want to live. And I'm willing to step outside maybe my comfort zone to get a hold of how I'm feeling, and then be able to kind of reverse engineer where I want to be back to. But for right now, I need some help. And I think that that's a really important thing to say and to honor yourself with. So, yeah. So I think my final thoughts on this are, what I'm discovering and what I see with my clients all the time is that there's a huge piece of resilience and self-efficacy when it comes to this phase of life. And then, the hits start coming, and they're different hits than they used to be. Like you lose a pet when you're a kid, whatever, but you lose a pet that you turned into an adult with, and it's a different situation, right? And then like people are getting older and all of that. Like there are so many changes in your kids and their ages, and changes in all kinds of stuff, and your own responsibilities and all of that. So for me, it's about identifying, okay, how can I support myself during this time, and how can I rebuild my resilience? So for me, that's doing the walking. It is going to the gym a couple times a week. It's definitely looking at how I'm taking care of myself. So what am I eating? What am I eating when I'm sad? Am I reaching for a glass of wine more often than I would like to? And what am I going to replace that with? Because it's not something that I want to be like a huge habit for me.
Yeah.
Especially the more that we see all this research coming out saying not only is it terrible for your hormones, but it's also just really bad for you, alcohol, in any amount. So lots of those previous studies, of course, funded by alcohol companies.
Yeah.
And I think the cool thing about the 90s and early 2000s is that no one really cared about the bias of who was doing the study, but now we're paying more attention to stuff like that and repeating these things.
Yeah.
So the pharmaceutical company is a big proponent of how everyone is afraid of hormones and menopausal hormone therapy, because they really skewed a couple studies back in the day on
the
estrogen.
WHI study. was grossly misinterpreted.
using the crappy form. And yeah, so also taking into account that there's a million things going on in this world right now, and it feels like none of them are good, but that's not true. There are good things that are happening, and so I have to take it upon myself. I'm responsible to go and find the good and to pour back into the world good, because that's how things get better. And so I think that, you know, gently redirecting when someone is kind of on one, allowing them to get to a certain point, but then saying, okay, how can we shift this into something that we can be action takers about?
Yeah.
In terms of my health, certainly thinking about where do I need to take action with the exercise? Where do I need to take responsibility? And then starting to make that a habit, because the way that you feel and the emotions that you seek are habits. So we have the power to change them, and that's free. And it's also has nothing to do with who's in office, and it has nothing to do with anything else. It's just all within. And so the work that we can do right now, even if we feel like there's nothing else that we can do, is to really go within and say, okay, what can I be responsible for, and how can I make the world a better place?
Yeah. And I will say that I had 2 reflection questions that I wanted to put out there for when people kind of turn off the podcast and they could kind of be like, what are they thinking about? And one of them is, when you do see positivity, how do you, or when you do see things that you love and things that you want to nourish and participate in, how do you help them take form? Like, how do you make that tangible? I was standing in the kitchen today and I was thinking about that, and I went over because my oldest son didn't fall asleep till like 3 last night, and he was just a brick to try to get out of bed. So I let him sleep and took the other one to school. And when I came back, I saw him sitting on the couch, and I thought it would bring me love to have a hug from him. I'm going to give that form. So I went over and I gave him a big hug, and I ended up crying. And he's like, what's wrong, Mom? Are you okay? And I was like, I'm just having one of those moments, again, perimenopausal, where I just cry out of nowhere. And I'm like, but I feel better now that I cried. I don't know why I needed to, but I just did. So maybe my liver needed to release some tears, and Chinese medicine, that always provides it with some ease. And the other one is, so how does that take form? The things that you want to participate in, how do you have them create form? And the other one is, what is draining you? Be honest. Like, what is actually draining you? And it might be who's sitting in office, and how you have to literally protect your peace by just never going on social media anymore, or not going on to the news, and just kind of being in a bubble for a minute so that you can have that resilience. So when you do come on, you can actually rally and find something that you want to put into positive form. Like, I'm actually going to go out on the 18th of December and walk around and protest. I am, and I need to be able to be resilient and not be scared to go do that. Then shut yourself out for a couple of days. Get ready. Be in your own land to do that. And then the other thing I wanted to note that kind of came up for me throughout this whole process is, I am kind of fucking sick and tired of healing right now.
Well, that's okay.
I'm like been pretty blessed with, I would say, good health, and the way that I've navigated the things that have come up in my life. I feel like I've done them pretty positively, and it served me well in holding space for others. But heartbreak on perimenopause, and also just coming out of a time when I like closed the business and all that other stuff. Like, I'm definitely rising from a Scorpio into a Phoenix these days, or, you know, I will come out of this a different person on the other side, and I'm grieving the person that it took for me to get through all of that. And that's great. But it is also really fucking hard. And I just want to say, I see you if you are in the middle of this, and it will be, the other side will come, but it also, I understand if it feels like you're sick and tired of it and you just want to live your life. Like, I've kind of felt like since 2020, we've all been kind of in this resistance pattern where it just doesn't seem like it is as easy to flow through the world as it used to be. And that does happen. I mean, I feel like that even can affect us on a cellular level, like down to how we even decide to move through the world. So I see you if it feels really hard, and where can you put that positivity into form, and be honest with yourself about what's actually draining you, and nourish what's there.
Love it.
Love you.
All right. Well, yes. Love you too. Thanks everyone for coming back. We're so excited to be here with you for another season of She's Got Guts.
Let's do it.
And
thank you so much for listening. We offer personalized support to clients in many ways and would love to work with you.
Reach out to Lara at Lala's Wellness and Molly at Women's Gut Health for more information. Unlock your full health and hormone potential with Super Cube, Boom Bomb, and Best Tea. Check out the link in the show notes for more. See you next Saturday.